What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we have WWE Top 10 Wrestling Conspiracy Theories. Let's go on to number 10. Vince McMahon was behind ECW. In the late 90s, there was a rumor that Vince McMahon was the brains behind ECW and that ECW was WWF's developmental stages. Basically what NXT is right now with the WWE. People came up with this theory because ECW wrestlers were appearing on WWF and ECW was being promoted on Monday Night Raw. Also, guys like Mick Foley went on from ECW to a top star of the Attitude Era. Everything does add up, and it does look like Vince McMahon was the brains behind ECW. Number 9. Randy Savage and Stephanie McMahon. Macho Man Randy Savage had a great, lengthy WWE career. However, being one of the greatest superstars of all time, he was not inducted to the Hall of Fame of the year he passed away. But why? A conspiracy of why he was not inducted was that Vince McMahon had a dislike of the man. A long-time rumor has that when Stephanie was 17 years old, her and Savage had a relationship. McMahon was furious that Savage had something with his daughter, and I would be furious if my employee had a relationship with my daughter as well, so I don't blame Vince. Finally, Macho Man was inducted in the 2015 Hall of Fame, but why did it take him so long? Number 8. The Montreal Screwjob was a work. Looking back at the Montreal Screwjob, there are a lot of questionable things about it that could make it a work. Some examples are, while Vince was at ringside, did Bret Hart not find that a little fishy? Did he just say, oh, Vince is here for no reason? Also, it was a win-win for Hart and Vince if you look at it. Hart went to WCW and received more money, and Vince got a hot angle for the WWE, which made him a top heel. Another example is legally in Bret's contract, he could not get screwed because he had creative control in his contract. Also, why would Vince have a guy be his champion whose contract is ending in a month? That makes no sense, right? Another example, the Wrestling with Shadows documentary didn't include Hart's punch on McMahon, which later looked like makeup on Raw. The Montreal Screwjob seemed a little fishy, guys. If it was a work, this will definitely be the greatest work in WWE history. Number 7. Vince McMahon sent the NWO to ruin WCW. In the 90s, WWE was in a war with WCW, fighting for the title of the best wrestling company. During the war, two of the biggest guys in the WWE left and appeared on WCW as the NWO. Those two guys were Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, and they took over WCW. WCW was #1 wrestling company at a time period. But eventually it began to fail, and that's when fans started to think that Vince McMahon was the man behind all this. Was this his plan from the beginning, guys? Here's some proof. Triple H, Stone Cold, and other stars were on the rise, so why not let WCW pay all the money they can for these two guys because they had big contracts? And also, while they were getting these big contracts, everyone else on the entire roster of WCW wanted more money because they're like, why do they get more money? So WCW winded up paying a lot more for everyone else for these two guys. So maybe this could have been a genius diabolical plan by Vince McMahon. Number 6. The two Ultimate Warriors. Ultimate Warrior passed away in 2014, but a theory says he died in 1991. Jim Hellwig, the actual name of the Ultimate Warrior, was gone from the WWE for 1 year in 1991, and he came back the next year in 1992. However, something seemed a little different when he came back. People came up with a theory that Jim Hellwig died in 1991, which explains his disappearance, and Vince McMahon got a lookalike to impersonate the Ultimate Warrior. Also, one day in WCW, Hogan said to Warrior, "I thought you were dead." Number 5. The Ultimate Warrior murdered. The Ultimate Warrior became a WWE Hall of Famer in 2014. A week later, he passed away. Jim Hellwig's death was so sad and random, many people came up with the theory that he was murdered. People believe that the Ultimate Warrior was killed, and they even came up with some murderers. Some suspects are Hulk Hogan, Jake Roberts, Kevin Nash, and even the Honky Tonk Man. Supposedly, the Ultimate Warrior created videos talking bad about these wrestlers, and maybe this was their revenge. Number 4. Vince McMahon covered up a murder. Vince McMahon is a powerful man who has millions of dollars, but maybe Vince McMahon has more power than we think. When there was an accusation of Jimmy Superfly Snuka being a murderer, he did all he could to get Snuka off the hook. It's been a little over 30 years and there's still no murderer found to Nancy Argentino. Supposedly she was rushed to the hospital with fluid coming out of her ears and nose, and guess where she was when they found her? You guessed it right, Snuka's room. Argentino passed away, and the autopsy said she had been hit with a blunt object over her head. Snuka thought he got away with the case, but it was reopened and is currently still happening right now. Number 3, Chris Benoit was innocent. The death of Chris Benoit, his wife Nancy, and their 7-year-old son Daniel were extremely sad and truly tragic. After a police investigation, they ruled that as a double homicide-suicide, and the name of Chris Benoit has been tainted. However, some diehard fans of Chris Benoit did not believe it and created a conspiracy theory that he was innocent and was framed of the crimes. Some fans believe that Kevin Sullivan, the ex-husband of Nancy, was the one who murdered the Benoit family. There is no proof that Kevin Sullivan had anything to do with the death of the Benoit family, but who knows, he could have actually done it. Number 2, Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels were lovers. When two male individuals tend to be together a lot, people tend to start thinking weird stuff about the two. Two people that many people believe had something that was more than friends are Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels. Now, this conspiracy theory was not even created by WWE fans, it was created by WWE wrestlers that saw Shawn Michaels always going into McMahon's office. Shawn was on the rise and he was getting everything he wanted, from WWE champion to burying this guy, that guy. He just got everything he wanted. Was it that he had to do stuff he didn't want to do with Vince McMahon for all this to happen? I don't know. Number 1, the clique is Wrestling Illuminati. In 1995, a group of Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Sean Waltman wanted to take over the WWE. In a few years, they achieved that goal. Nash was WWF champion in 1995, and Shawn Michaels was a champion in 1996 and 1997, and from 2000 to 2010, Triple H would become the champion multiple times. While Shawn was the top guy in the WWF, the Outsiders went to WCW in order to dominate that corporation. So basically, Shawn Michaels dominated the WWF, the Outsiders dominated WCW, and soon Triple H will run the entire WWE. The clique's one goal was to achieve power in wrestling industry, and they were successful. Are the clique Illuminati? I don't know, Illuminati confirmed. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. I consider myself a conspiracy theorist and I find all this stuff cool. So let me know if you guys want to see like individual videos of this and like a lot of other conspiracies of me going in depth and talking more about it. Just let me know in the comments below. Also comment what you want to see next from my top 10s. Thank you for watching. Take care and spike your hair.